Hi, my name is Scott Chacon. I'm the CEO of Git Butler, and today on Bits and Booze, we're going to be sitting down with Patrick Steinhardt to go over the Jujutsu Megamerge strategy for managing parallel branches in Jujutsu, and we'll also get a sneak peek at the upcoming Git History editing command, aptly named Git History. Grab a bottle of Rioja and learn some version control. Today on Bits and Booze, I am joined by Steiny, the one and only Patrick Steinhardt from GitLab, and we are going to be doing something that neither of us are particularly good at, but we've been learning, which is part 2 of our Jujutsu series. The last Jujutsu one was fairly popular, so we're going to look at some stuff that Jujutsu does in a way that is kind of what Git Butler tries to do with parallel branches, the Jujutsu way, and then Patrick has been working on a new command for Git called Git History, so we get a sneak peek of what Git History will look like in the near future. For the booze part of the Bits and Booze, you brought the bits, I brought the booze. I brought a Rioja. Do you know where Rioja's from? Are you familiar with Rioja?
I think it's from Spain, if I'm not mistaken.
It is from northern Spain. Do you know the grape? No. Okay. It is a Tempranillo grape, generally. It kind of tastes like a Bordeaux. The other thing to know about this is there's a label on it that says Gran Reserva 2018. So obviously 2018 is when the grapes were picked. Gran Reserva means that it has been aged for, I think, a minimum of 5 years. So you're not going to find it that much newer than 2018 if it says Gran Reserva on it. 2 years have to be in oak. As is the tradition on Bits and Booze, instead of using a wine key like an actual professional, I'm going to go straight through the cap with one of these guys, and we'll just get rid of that. And don't forget, you are German, so we have to look each other in the eyes when we cheers, yeah?
I mean, you don't have to remind me that. I will have to do it. So, thank you.
Cheers.
And cheers.
Thanks for being on Bits and Booze. Okay, so today, let's get started with our Jujutsu. So the idea is, you have some work and you want to split it up into 2 branches that you can push sort of independently and review independently, but have both of them in your working directory at the same time. And so Git Butler kind of does this with this hidden merge commit that we keep in order to do parallel branches. In Jujutsu, you can do a very similar thing. So we're gonna, you've already applied some changes, so let's see kind of what changes you have, and then we'll split it up into 2 different commits. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. If you remember from the previous episode, Jujutsu kind of always has a commit. So every time you're running something, it's sort of amending the last commit that you have. And so instead of committing at the end, you sort of have a blank one and it adds all the work into it. And then what we want to do is kind of split that out. So we have these changes that we're working on in the head, and we want to split it up. So there's a bunch of different ways that we can do this. The easiest way, I think, is what we'll do is we'll create a new commit and then we'll squash stuff from one into the other.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's do that. So you run jj new, which creates a new commit. And now if you run jj, you should see that we have 2 sort of empty commits, right? There's one with no description set that has all the files in it. You can do jj log-s as well, so we can see kind of where the file changes are. So we have all 4 of our file changes in R, and then we want to move some of them up to N. Yeah. So the easiest way to do that, I think, is with squash. So we can squash changes from one revision into another. So let's go ahead and edit R, jj edit R. So that's our kind of working one. And now if you run jj again, you can see the little @ sign is, we had an empty.
No, the other one is gone.
We had it, if I forget, you have to, if it's completely empty, it'll get rid of stuff. So let's run jj undo.
That is one of the really nice features about JJ, I have to say.
I like it.
It's something that I really want to have in Git overall, because sure, we have the reflog, but the reflog is so esoteric that nobody knows to use it.
It's really difficult to like, I mean, you can run jj oplog and kind of see, like run jj oplog so we can see kind of what all we've done here.
Log over here.
And this to me is much more readable, right? It says what did you do, and then, where is it, and we can restore to any of these if we want to, and we can see that we just ran undo to restore the previous operation. So instead of moving and squashing up, let's squash down. So run jj again so we get our chain sets. Okay, now I'm guessing what this next command is because I don't always remember. So let's see if it works. So do jj squash -i for interactive, and then well, what happened to the last output?
I mean, I can open a second window so that we can also see it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That now we have both.
So now let's squash. I think it's -- from R. Yeah. Okay, and then you can choose which files that we want to do. So you can also, I think, go into, if you like hit space, it probably opens up the hunks, and you can move hunks individually.
Yeah, it's not space, but like you can the arrow key, use the arrow keys to like open and close.
So let's just keep it simple. Move the archive zip up, and we'll have one be the zip sort of change set, and the other ones be the tar change set. Yeah.
How do I commit it now?
You can
Is
hit
it
C commits.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also, if you have like an interactive terminal, you can use your mouse and click on those header things, and like drop downs come down.
That works.
Yeah.
I have to try that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is 21st century now.
I know. It's new. It's yeah, we're back to DOS. Now run in the bottom one here, maybe run jj-s, which is log-s. Okay, so now you can see we've kind of split this up. Let's set some descriptions on these because neither of them have descriptions yet. So jj describe n and what is that? The zip.
Convert archive zip.
Oh.
And also
and then R.
R convert archive stuff.
Perfect. Okay, so now we have our two commits, but the thing is that we actually want them to be separate, right? Like we don't right now. If we push sort of n relies on R, and that's not completely necessary. So there's kind of a cool command in JJ called parallelize. But what I want to do is create a merge commit above that. So let's do JJ new because we're kind of done with these. They're done commits, right? So now you have this empty one, and then you can do, let me see if I can get this right, JJ parallelize, and then a quote, and then n space, and then what's a pipe, and then R. Yeah, that's like the ref set. And then let's look at the history again. Okay, so now what it's done is it's put those into two different commits that have the same parent. And then the merge commit sort of merges them both together. So we still have all of those files in our working directory, but now we have two independent commits, right? There's a couple different ways that JJ people would do mega merge. One is we can just keep working right now and put changes into this merge commit. The other thing that you can do is create a work in progress on top of this, and then absorb changes down. So let's do JJ describe and just call this the mega merge.
Mega merge. Out of curiosity, it's also possible to, for example, say, I just want to explode that commit R that I have into all the different components so that it automatically creates multiple commits out of it?
Yes, but I don't remember how.
Okay.
The way that I've seen, or the way that I've always done it, or I don't use JJ as much as Git Butler, obviously, but the way that I tend to do it is to create new commits and then squash stuff around, or rebase. We can also kind of undo this by rebasing n on top of R and getting rid of Z. So that's kind of the way that you do that. Parallelize is a relatively easy way to split stuff up, but we could have also created a new commit off of S and then moved, sort of squashed work from what we had before into that new one, right? Which would parallelize it as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of move stuff around, rub stuff around this way. So I want to show, the next one I want to show is absorbing work. So now let's say, you get some feedback on archive zip.c and archive tar.c. Let's make a couple of changes.
So we could, for example, rename the variables or something like that. So instead of algo p, we just say like, it's just the algorithm or something like that.
Perfect.
So we also touch up those two lines, and now we should be good.
Okay, and then the archive tar, actually, if you go down and page to the archive tar thing, we want to do something similar, right?
Yeah. We can go to init tar archiver and edit that one as well. Nope, not over here, but over here, instead of calling this repo, we'll just rename it to short and sweet R.
Perfect. Okay, so now we have some changes. So now run JJ again so we can see that, or JJ-S. So we have a couple of files that are changed in this Megamerge, right? Because the way that it does it is every time that you're running a JJ command, If it sees some changes, it puts it into whatever commit it's on, whatever sort of the active change that you have. So what we want to do is move those down. So we want to kind of absorb them into the previous ones. And so JJ has this cool command called absorb. So if you run JJ absorb, just run it. It looks at what's changed. It tries to figure out, okay, what hunks sort of overlap with stuff that are in the first descendants that it can find, and it updates those descendants. So now if we run jjlog-s again, or jj-s, you can see that the one that we're on is empty, and the other ones have been updated, right?
Yep.
And so it's changed the SHAs. It hasn't changed the change IDs, right? And so again, like we can push this to GitHub or whatever, and then do like sort of a force push to update a patch series. So this is kind of it's a cool way. If you had made a change that it can't find, it will just leave it there, and then you can kind of manually squash it down if you want to. But this is the way that in Jujutsu you would do sort of multiple branches at the same time.
Is there a way for me to kind of see like the interdiff between the old state and the new state?
Right. What a great question. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, so there's a thing called evolog, evolution log. So if you run JJ evolog on, let's say, R, I think -R, you have to do -R and then the revision. So in this case, it's R, X, Y, whatever. So this is the history of that change set, right? You can do an interdiff between, say, 6E25 to 73B4, right?
6E25, that would be that one, to... Where's the other one?
73B4.
73B4. That looks...
Right, so the commit description was changed.
Yeah.
You'd sort of added some stuff, and then yeah. So this looks relatively right. The difference, so people will probably ask what the difference between just a diff is, because you can also do JJ diff, the same things, and it'll look somewhat similar. The difference is a couple things. One is it shows you the difference between the commit message, where diff does not do that. The other is if we had rebased this and then we directly compare what does this commit look like and what does this commit look like, you'll have sort of the changes in whatever the bases were if they had different bases, right? Like this is kind of the difference between interdiff and diff. Is interdiff says, let's pretend that these had the same parent, right? And just look at the changes that they're introducing and show you the difference between those things. Like what changed between this commit and this commit, even if they had completely separate bases.
So it's a little bit similar to the range diff that Git has?
Yeah, well, range diff would be, yes. I mean, basically, except it's between versions of one commit.
Yeah, exactly. But range diff basically does is for multiple commits. But you can, of course, also tell range diff to like only diff like 2 specific commits. So that's also possible. Right.
Let's switch topics. Let's go into, from JJ back to Git. Since this is what you work on, and neither of us are the greatest experts in Jujutsu, but it has some really, really great ideas to steal from.
Certainly.
So let's go into what are we stealing? What is Git stealing from Jujutsu?
I want to steal a lot of the features from Jujutsu because it certainly has a lot of potential and it makes a lot of the operations that people tend to do like day to day way easier. The ability to edit history way easier compared to how it's done nowadays in Git. Because sure, we have interactive rebases, but I mean, interactive rebases, they are kind of esoteric and are definitely an advanced feature for power users because it's not really easy.
We have a whole episode on interactive rebases. Click here.
But yeah, like interactive rebases, I use them all the time because like working on the Git mailing list, the expectation is that you always have to like have nice commit history. And of course, like every time there is a review happening, you have to edit the commits again to change commit messages, to like change the diff and so on. But you always have to like open the editor, like rearrange stuff, and that is complex. There is so many common operations that can just be made way easier in Git. Like for example, rewording a commit message.
Right.
You shouldn't be required to go into interactive rebase to do that.
Right.
Or split up commits into 2. So that's where the new command comes in that I'm currently working on, which is called Git History.
So first of all, before we get into Git History, because I want to see a demo of this, has anything landed? Is there a Git History command yet? Or when will there be one that our fine viewers can use?
So not yet. It is still in review on the mailing list, mostly because I have completely revamped how it's actually working internally. Like this is getting a little bit on the technical side, but originally it was basically based on the same infrastructure that Git rebases also work on. But the problem with that infrastructure is that it's horribly slow because the changes actually get applied in a way that first, Git has to check out that commit, then you have to like edit the commit and then like move to all the other subsequent commits and also check those out to the working directory. And that is really taking a lot of time and that is kind of unnecessary in the first place. So I've now rewritten that this command to instead be based on the same infrastructure that Git replay uses, where Git replay is like a more modern way to basically rewrite commit history that is more catered towards server-side usage to rewrite history. And one of the nice things about Git replay is that it's way faster compared to Git rebase.
All right, so let's see some stuff. Like, what can it do now? Can you demo it to like edit a commit message?
Yes, I can do that. Like for now, Git history only has two subcommands. Like one thing that it can do is to reword a commit message. The other one that it can do is to split up commits into two. Originally, there have also been two other commands, but I decided to basically like focus on trivial stuff first, so that I can get it upstream.
All right, let's see it.
So let's go into a proper Git repository so that I can actually get some work done. So basically, as we said, it's called Git History, and you can now see that there's two subcommands, Git History Reword, which is rewording a commit message, and then you also have Git History Split. So let's maybe first go to a branch. Let's, for example, take the revision repo list stuff, where I don't really have polished commit messages yet. So if I want to now reword the commit message, like any arbitrary commit message, I can just say, I want to take, for example, this commit ID over here. So I just say git history reword and then the commit ID.
Nice.
And now it just asks me like, what is the commit message that you want to have? So now I also have to say like, do something
dockside.
And now it has actually reworded that commit. And if you can now go into here,
awesome.
You see it got reworded. And that is way easier compared to Git rebase. I mean, I can also demonstrate the same workflow with Git rebase, where I would basically have to say git rebase -- interactive, then the commit, but I actually have to rebase on top of the commit, so I also have to add a tilde. Now I'm dropped into this weird interface where I now have to also say, I want to reword that specific commit. Now I have to save, and now I have to type the commit message and something, and save, and now I'm done. So that is like 5 different steps.
And you get this nice detached head message that confuses everybody.
It doesn't really, like, it's not really a nice user interface. Yeah. I mean,
all right, so show split. I'm curious about the split. I haven't seen this one yet.
So let's maybe take a commit that has multiple changes. Yep, that one should be good. So we can now say git history split. And what it will now ask you is, do you want to stage that hunk
so it's like
to split it
add-i?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's using the exact same infrastructure as add-i. So you can now say, do you want to stage that hunk? Yes. And for all the remainders, I say no, or I can just type Q to quit. Now it asks me for a commit message, and so I say split
does this
out.
put the new commit on top of or underneath the original one? I mean, I guess we'll see in a second.
It depends on what you mean by on top or underneath. Like
is it
the
the parent
split
or
out,
is it the child?
It's the parent.
Okay. So in a log output, it would be on top. No, in a log output, it'd be underneath.
Underneath,
the new one. Okay.
So I have now saved, and we can now go here. You see that it's now the parent of the previous commit, and it should only have that one change.
Right, right.
So that is, again, way easier.
That's cool, yeah. What are some of the other history commands you're thinking of putting in?
Yeah, so basically I want to have most of the things that JJ has. Like we saw absorb, for example. That is awesome. I want to have that because it's such a common use case where you have to like basically edit your commit history and say like, yeah, okay, here I just need to reword that line again because review comments said like you want to change the variable name, for example.
Yeah.
So absorb is definitely one thing I want to have in Git history. Originally, I also had Git History edit that basically drops you like to the command line again, where you can then say like, yeah, okay, now I will manually amend that commit and do some random changes. What else did I have? I also had
Squash?
No, it wasn't actually squash, but I had a subcommand to reorder commits. So you can say Git History reorder commit before or after another commit.
And it moves, yeah.
Yes.
But what happens when they're conflicts?
Well,
You can't do conflicts. Like these two, you can't really do conflicts, right?
Yes, with these two, there cannot be conflicts. That's impossible, but that's mostly the reason why I decided to first like drop those other two subcommands, because they're more complex. Unfortunately, we don't have first-class conflicts in Git, so you cannot just like have them in the history and then fix them at a later point in time. There is discussion going on right now to have this, where we basically want to amend the...
Because Jujutsu does this and Git Butler does this.
Exactly.
I mean, we kind of abuse the Git commit model. But then, like, if it's accepted into Git core and Git, then it's no longer abuse.
That would be awesome. Exactly.
It's like Stockholm syndrome, right? Like, it stops being abuse. Something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That can't be right.
So.
All right, let's close it up. I'm looking forward to Git History. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And going through Jujutsu. And I'm excited that everybody's stealing all these great ideas from Jujutsu. All right, thanks, Johnny. And we'll see you next time. If they're still watching, they're probably watching the Rebase-I episode already.
Probably.
All right. Later.
Later. See you.